Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Chaile Time. Toby, welcome.
Thank you, Tsepo.
How are you? How you've been? What you've been busy with?
Listen, this week is busy, eh? Are
you hectic?
Hey, yeah, it's hectic. Yes, I'm telling you. Tomorrow I'm off to Cape Town, do CCMA case there. Day off. No, literally. Okay, so far the plan is tomorrow I go to a client here in Gauteng on a construction site until 4. After that, go to the airport, take a plane 7:30 to Cape Town, arrive there just short 10 o'clock in the evening, go from there to hotel near the CCMA. Tomorrow, the morning thereafter, I consult to a client until 12:30. 1 o'clock, walk over to the CCMA till 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock, go all the way back to the airport. From there, fly to Durban. I'll probably end up getting to the hotel at about 10 o'clock in the evening too. From there, the next morning, the Thursday, all of Friday, straight through, and the Monday, servicing clients, and then Monday evening, fly back to Gauteng.
So this whole week you're not here?
I'm telling you, this week now, I'm getting old for this nonsense now.
Yes.
At yourself?
No, I'm going to Durban tomorrow. Mm-hmm. In and out. We'll see how it goes.
In and out.
In and out. Yes.
Yeah, tomorrow, I think it's going to be in and out. It's just a postponement.
Yeah, let's see.
That you want to go sort out there. You see. So, Kanama.
Meneer, did you see the Oval Office turned into a cinema? Didn't it remind you of Godom? Dim the lights, focus, and then the lights were dimmed, and then everyone body was like they changed, and then action and action.
But listen, comments have been rife on internet, South Africans, about was it successful, was it not? We have our special brother, Juju, is trying to seek some brownie points there, and calling it a theater. And Trump would not have said those things if he was there. And then there are those who feel it was successful and great and praising Ramaphosa. So, Kanama, what happened, Tsepo? What's your view?
In my view, I think the strategy of taking our uncle, Meneer Rupert.
Oh, yeah.
Was a great strategy.
It was a master stroke. And also the other strokers.
And the other strokers, you see, because... and I liked it when Ramaphosa said, unfortunately, we can't buy you a plane. But, the golfers, because he said, Mr. Trump, he's a golfer himself. I think the strategy was nga. But Mr. Ronald Lamula didn't say anything. Not even a single word.
Mm-hmm. No, nothing.
Nothing.
Because Steve Racing was taking care of it.
Yeah, but I think because even with those white crosses on the road when Trump was like...
Apparently it's from the DRC or something.
No, from the DRC it's when those people wearing white...
so the crosses in South Africa?
No, the crosses, they say, no one knows where is that place. No one can confirm. So it's like some sort of fake AI something.
Some Trump magic.
Yeah, so because... everyone was like, where is that? Even the president asked him.
Yeah, it was like, I've never seen that.
Where is that? You see? And then, not Trump saying, who is this man? Arrest this man. I was laughing, thinking about you.
But me? What?
Juju is your friend, yeah?
You keep on saying that.
You love Juju.
Well, I'm supposed to love all people. I can't hate people. You're not allowed to hate people.
But you
can agree or disagree. He's a South African brother, you see. And I think I understand Juju. Yeah. I don't like what they always say, but I think I understand. But
with you, what did you observe?
Well, I think the strategy of taking our white comrades with, that worked well. But one thing that is interesting, look, Trump is ambushing everybody.
Yeah.
So whether Starmer, the United Kingdom guy, president or minister, prime minister, or whether you're Zelensky, he's trying to make life difficult for everyone.
Whether you're Saudi Arabia.
Why he's doing that, I've got my own opinion that, look, he's a master in negotiation. So he's a person who I remembered when he became the president and now the second time, somewhere I read that you never negotiate if you don't have leverage.
Yeah.
So he's the kind of person, in my opinion, who creates chaos. That's the leverage. And then it's on negotiation. So he's creating a diversion. So all this chaos is not his main aim. It's to unsettle people, to make people appease to him, kiss the ring, they say, and then eventually we will talk tariffs. Trump wants to make money. So all this is just noise, you see. So now eventually everybody, even us, are very quick to start talking negotiations on trade and all those kind of things, you see.
Yeah.
Starlink, Tesla, suddenly we're talking about these things, you see. Even if you look at the United Kingdom, you was talking about 30% tariffs and whatever, and he made it very difficult for them. And suddenly a week after or 2 weeks after Starmer was in the Oval Office, and suddenly landmark revolutionary agreement on trade, 10% tariffs only. But that's what he wanted all the time, man. Yeah. You see, so I think that is why he's doing that. I think his eyes are on unsettling people so that they can be amenable to a good trade deal. But anyway, to come back on that day, Trump manages to unsettle everybody. But I don't think he really unsettled us. I think Ramaphosa, the way I see it, he's as calm as a breeze. Yeah. That guy. South Africans are master negotiators ourselves. So I don't think, a person like Trump will put a person like Nelson Mandela in a corner when it comes to talking, or even ex-President Jacob Zuma or Ramaphosa. He's not going to put these fathers of the nation into a corner.
I had Ramaphosa throwing that die saying, Nelson Mandela taught us well.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, and also another thing is, other nations that will feel embarrassed about things. For us, it is, hey, potholes. You come and talk about white genocide and potholes as much as you want. It goes over.
And the foot seconds.
Yeah, it goes over. It's like, So I don't think anything fazed him. I think they were calm and collected. Zingizwa Losi, I think for me, what she said sort of summarized everything. Yeah. Because everything was mostly, the underlying theme was white genocide. And there's no denying there's a lot of white people being killed, but there's also a lot of black people being killed. I think that's a context. And like you have white murders in South Africa, you also have a problem with, as you said, in the rural communities, you have black females being raped and murdered. And so at the end of the day, I think she contextualized it quite nicely to say, listen, and what was beautiful? One thing about South Africans, the rest of the world are very proud. No, we are like this and whatever. We are like, yes, so you're right, we suck.
Yeah.
we like honest. And in a way that creates integrity. Okay, because she's clearly, Mr. President, you know what, crime, we're a violent nation, crime is a problem. So she immediately actually put Trump in place to say, listen, because some people will try to deny it. The moment you start denying it, you've lost it. By admitting it to it, you took the sting out of it, you see. So we've got a problem with crime. We are just a bloody violent nation. But, just like with white genocide, you also have black female genocide in the country, So I think she contextualized, and everything was the rest was just all theatrics,
Yeah, that 49 must just come back home and then everything will go on as it was. So, what are we talking about today? Let's go back to our business.
Today is the topic we've been threatening to do for a long time, Tsepo. Today we're talking, the title is To BEE or Not to BEE. Transformation, as the Americans call it DEI. We call it employment equity, and BEE or triple BEE, as they say. Should black people be beneficiaries of transformation, getting all the bokke? Starlink. Elon Musk.
We call upon you. Here's your master technician. When it comes to BEE, I'll just take the 30%. Don't worry.
And obviously, the overarching question: must black people really benefit because they're black? Like you. Must a person like you, now I'm not saying you are or not. I'm just saying there is Tsepo,
No, I get what
you're
you're saying.
black, must you still in 2025 be a beneficiary of BEE?
But I think the question will be, we'll get back to that. The question will be, in the past 30 years, in your view, has it worked?
I think to some this look, I agree with transformation. So yes, I'm Afrikaner, okay, I'm a Boertjie, but before you start taking me out of context, because I'm going to say things about my view, which is probably a little bit different to what we're experiencing at the moment. But let everybody just know, I believe in transformation. Okay. I'm a firm believer that things went wrong historically, and look, we must correct that. I'm also a firm believer that if you want a motor vehicle, a car, to drive successfully, all the parts of that car must be successful. The wheels, the oil, the steering wheel, the brakes. So for South Africa to be successful, South Africa must, in all its ethnic groups, be successful. So if I can bring a dotted line back to the discussion in the Oval Office with Ramaphosa, people now shouting, there was no white genocide in South Africa. For me, I don't personally believe also, please don't shoot me, that there's white genocide, but there is a lot of white murders. If I was the leadership of this country, I will not have an attitude, you know what, there's no white genocide. For me, I'll be concerned. I will say, listen, there's a lot of white people dying in this country. But equally, I'll be concerned about there's a lot of black females dying, women dying in this country. Because you can't have a successful South Africa if the whites are dying. So for me as a president, I will say, listen, hell, we need to do something about this.
Yeah.
There's white farmers dying, we need to protect our farms. But there's also white women dying in rural communities, we need to protect our women. We need to actually ask ourselves then, what's the next steps?
100%.
You see, so to come back to your question, transformation is important. There's a heck a lot of work to be done. But now, I think employment equity and BEE in its current format, initially it was a catalyst for change, and I think that was great. But we probably, and it's always easy to say in hindsight, but now we are, 30 odd years later, now we can see what the results of transformation agendas in our country is, and I really think we need to amend and move forward. But now, so initially there was a success, but it's time to change.
Okay. So now, today you're gonna school us, because this is your bread and butter.
I'm gonna school a bit. It's very general, but before I go to the schooling part, how old are you now, Tsepo?
38.
38. So talk to me about your experience from a BE perspective. Transformation, affirmative action, from young to now. Talk to me. Do you actually agree with BE in concept? Do you agree with BE in its current format? What do you see?
I do, even though I don't understand the details into it. But with that company that we previously worked for, I think they're doing business with Tsogosan, and Tsogosan is BEE, and then in order for you to make business with them, you need to be BEE compliant. So
you do need to.
You understand? So in that, as I've grown, like you're saying, I've seen the importance of it.
But if you actually ever experienced the benefits of BE yourself?
Yes.
In what way?
I don't know. Does BE have anything to do with skills development?
Yes.
Okay. I studied advanced labor law at the University of Pretoria. I didn't pay a cent. The company paid for me.
Okay.
And then I think there was a submission of skills development in that.
That's very interesting that you're saying that.
In that process.
Yeah.
And I also studied as a assessor and moderator. Also, I didn't pay a cent. So,
but Tsepo, this is the thing. We both work at that company, and because I was the HR director there, I sort of motivated why you must study and all these kind of things, and the company paid for that. But that actually, even though there was a BEE, how can I say, from a reporting perspective,
yes.
Obviously you're going to report that from a skills development perspective, but BEE, actually had nothing to do with the decision-making process. The reality of the matter is that you were quite well experienced operationally.
Yes.
At that time, you've already managed, even with the previous company before that, where we were also working together, you've had experience with large staff complements, doing IR. The foundation was already laid, and it was because of your own skills, your own aptitude, that you must go study. And you know, a lot of companies will pay. I mean, even us. I sent staff to study. Madam here is studying the same program at the moment, and I'm paying. Now, I didn't pay for her because she's black. It's because that's what she's specializing in.
Yes.
You see, so it's interesting. So that even supports my argument that a lot of people actually don't need BEE per se anymore, because you actually don't need help. You can do it pretty well on your own.
Hey.
You see, Tsepo? Yeah, broad-based black economic empowerment. I want to read this definition now. This is from the BEE Act, ne?
Okay.
What is broad-based black economic empowerment? It means the viable economic empowerment of all black people, okay? Particularly women, workers, youth, people with disabilities, and people living in rural areas through diverse but integrated socio-economic strategies. But you see, this is where I partly agree with. But I think 30 years later, I don't fully agree with this anymore. I personally don't think the definition, or I think we should put an extra comma in here and put some additional stuff in here.
Like?
Well, in principle, I don't agree fully that BEE must benefit black people.
It must benefit everyone.
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
This is the thing. So before people get me wrong, I'm not saying now you must bless white people.
Okay.
I don't think the focus of BEE must primarily be black people. There are places for where you need to focus, and we're going to go through the scorecard elements now. And whatever we say here is not designed or intended to be a full-on educational session on BEE. It's just a general discussion. There are branches out of what we're going to discuss now in terms of charters, you know. But this is a basic concept. So I think BEE, there is a part in terms of the scorecard elements that, yes, it's rightfully focusing on black people. But then I have an issue. BEE should address structural discrimination. And I think that is where we're failing. And let me tell you why. If we focus on the peoples, and then what we are saying is that black people historically was disadvantaged. Therefore, they must get the benefits of BEE. How does that practically look like? Okay, part of some of the scorecard elements, I get some checks from companies every year, and then I find people to make the investment. So literally, if you're a black owner, I give you money. But to be honest with you, that black owner doesn't need the money. Okay, of course, we all need money, but the guys sitting on the street need something.
Yeah.
They need BEE. Tsepo does not need BEE. Come on, you play the lazy ass. You don't need BEE. You don't need a check just because of the color of your skin. I mean, think about this now. Me, okay? I'm Afrikaner. Apparently from the previous advantaged group of people. The fact of the matter is I grew up as an orphan. I was poor. And the moment I opened my eyes after school, hello, affirmative action.
Boom.
Boom. And in my employment career, you know what? I've got a master's degree in business. Yes, I do have an MBA. I've studied a lot of short courses. I also specialized or studied advanced labor law at the University of Pretoria. I have applied for so many jobs in my life now after becoming qualified. I never in South Africa was invited to an interview, not even once. Not once. Does that mean I've never been promoted? Well, 99% of the time in the corporate companies I worked for, where I actually applied for promotion, I didn't get it. Okay? But probably once or twice in my life I was promoted, where the employer will approach me and say, we're not promoting you. But not because I applied. That was in cinemas where I was a supervisor, duty manager, eventually a senior manager. And so that progression was never because I applied for anything. But for everything else, never. It hit me from day one. And if you want to say, now, how do you, how's that now for poor? I wasn't advantaged. What? So you see my dilemma here is once we say BEE must focus on poor people, how do you differentiate just because of skin color? Because you and I are the same. You're black, I'm white, but none of us need BEE. But now here's the thing. A poor person doesn't need BEE either.
Why?
Because you will always have the poor with us. Are we really going to ask private companies in the world or in South Africa to say, listen, start giving money away for free because people are poor? No. You see, yes, in my way, BEE will definitely benefit poor people. But you don't give BEE because they're poor. Maybe they must just get off their ass and go start working. Right? So tomorrow you decide you're not going to work anymore, you're going to sit in your home and become lazy and you're poor. Must companies now give you BEE just because you're black?
No.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a bit of a problem here, man.
There is.
So I'm saying, okay, we need to look at black people in a limited context. But I would like to see structural discrimination being eliminated. What am I talking about? So I'm talking about literally every year I will find suppliers and I will find enterprises and normal black people who I can sign checks to. Literally. Are you black? Are you South African? Great. Give me my thank you letter. But that's a farce. In the same token, you have townships, Mamelodi, Shoshanguve. The poor people are just sitting there with no hope, with nothing. So I'm saying, but hold on. Now the government wants to create 100 billion rand black empowerment kitty where they will sponsor black entrepreneurs, small business. Great, okay. But I'm like, why do you want a special kitty like that? I'm not against the kitty. I'm just saying we already have the money. We probably have much more than that already. So the government should say, let's be a bit more specific. These are the socioeconomic initiatives we're going to be focusing on. And let's not talk crime, because some of our audience will say, oh, but corruption. Okay, yes, corruption, I get it. But for the purpose of this discussion, let's not talk about corruption. Let's say we live in a perfect world, there's no corruption, okay? I would say government must look at, let me just use Shoshanguve. When you drive into Shoshanguve, shouldn't there be nice palm trees with a nice lawn and grass and whatever? Because then you will need sprinklers. So you need to buy sprinklers from the sprinkling company. And you also need people who maintain it. Where's the parks, okay? So why not say, Turby, take the money and put it in let's build parks in Shoshanguve Kitty. Because now there's going to be job creation too. And you know who's going to be the beneficiaries of the jobs? The black poor people sitting there on the street. Right? So the poor black people will be the beneficiaries, but not because they're poor, not because they're black, but because we are fixing the structural, historical issues in Mamelodi, in the townships, or wherever they may be. We need to take all this money and say, listen, we're going to build libraries, we're going to build schools, we're going to educate proper teachers, we're going to build parks, we're going to build lawns, we're going to plant palm trees.
And that is, it's going to be an ongoing job opportunity thing.
Well, the money is there.
Yeah.
How many companies are not giving billions of rands every year to black people because they're black and because they're the friends or and this is where everybody recognizes the problem. The top 1% of blacks, they keep on being the beneficiaries of BEE. Tsepo get a check from this company, tomorrow you get a check from that company, you just become richer. The rich becomes richer and the poor
becomes
poorer. Hey? So let's move on here. I don't know if you have any comments on that. So I'm saying, let's fix the structure. And automatically by design, I suppose, most of the beneficiaries will be black.
I hear what you're saying.
But why must Ramaphosa get the shares of this company and that company just because he's black? He doesn't need money anymore.
It goes back to what you're saying. Remember, we parked that issue of corruption. So
let's just park corruption because that's the police job. They will sort them out.
Because I think it can go a long way, but now that thing that we packed, it's always.
Because if you really look at it holistically now, you have the top, let's I don't know what the percentage is, but let's say the top 1% of the black population. They are your educated, your wealthy. And somehow the benefits of BE circulates among that wealthy. I mean, we are well connected and we have vast networks. So when customers ask about solutions, we give solutions and as we go on, you see. But the social Nguvu guys, they don't participate in these kind of networks and whatever. So the benefits eventually circulate among the top 1% of the black population. The black rich are getting richer, but they don't flippin' need it anymore. You're not hungry, man. You're not uneducated anymore, man.
Remember, the more they get, that's the more they want also.
Yeah, but that's wrong. I mean, 30 years later, and there's still no palm trees in Shoshonguve.
Yeah.
Where's the parks? Seriously, no parks. No, people may love palm trees. It creates jobs. Huh?
I'm not gonna touch it. Okay, let's move forward.
Okay, so just look at the. Now, for those of you who don't know, this is a bit of educational. So we're going to go through the 5 key scorecard elements, what B is about, okay? And then there's 5 and I've marked 3 of them green. Let me see, can we see like this? There you go. So in essence, the 5 scorecard elements is ownership. So we talk about black ownership in business. We talk about management control. That's in terms of affirmative action, and that's where the big issue is currently, that you on the lower levels, you have a lot of black staff working in the company. And when I say black, I typically talk about black people, colored people, and then also people with disabilities and so on and so forth. Okay, so management control. We have a lot of staff in lower levels that are transformed, but not in higher managerial levels. We talk about skills development. This is where it comes in what you said. Yes. And then enterprise and supplier development, okay? And in that, we also talk about enterprise supply development and socioeconomic development, and also then your procurement, preferential procurement. With other words, how much money you spend on purchasing goods and resources, and to what extent, or the amounts of the total amount of procurement spent in a year must go to BE compliant companies, and so on and so forth. So that's the 5 scorecard elements. But now I've highlighted 3 in green, and this is where I say we should probably not be too fixated on looking at the person, the face, the skin color. But I want to start at the bottom. Socioeconomic development, we've just sort of elaborated on that now, okay? The problem I see is a lot of companies, they focus on charities, which is part of it, and it is important, support my Let's Love a Dog or a Pet charity.
Okay, yeah.
Orphanages, which is, and obviously it's important. I'm not saying it's not important. Yeah. I'm just saying there's much more. Okay, so socioeconomic development, I believe government should say, listen, let's look at the structure, the structural weaknesses we have in the country, and if they want to do targets now, they should start saying, okay, listen, we're going to divest funds into the following elements or structural requirements in our country. Let's build, I'm just using examples. Let's create jobs. Let's fix water supply, electricity supply. Let's create Wi-Fi in Shoshonguve. Let's do the parks. Let's create jobs. Let's create libraries. Let's create schools. Let's do malls and do business in previous disadvantaged communities. And naturally, most of the people will happen to be black. So that's where I say socioeconomic development. I don't think a company should just be left at its own course to say,
I'm going to donate this to a charity.
To my whatever charity. Yeah. It's like almost, all charities need money, but the guy in Shoshonguve not having a job, I think it's more important. Isn't it?
It is. What you're saying is very ideal. You see,
So I think you shouldn't look at faces. And enterprise and supply development, we're going to talk about that forever. So, okay, now you start your own business. Now, and because you're a black-owned business, now companies must, in terms of their preferential procurement, they need to do business with people like you. But I'm having a problem with that. Because once again, people don't need the money. Why must you get the blessing? You've got bread, you've got a job, you've got a salary.
Yeah, but when I start my own business, it's going to help me grow.
But this is not Chili's heel, Chapel. Let me tell you why. When we built this podcast, it cost me 100,000 Rand to upgrade this podcast. I didn't really have the money. I went to take out a loan and I had to pay back the loan. It's been months later and it's only now that the loan has been paid back. But I so wish the government could have given me the money. But no, I'm white. They're not going to give me the money. But no, I'm not angry or unhappy. Simultaneously, I'm like, no, Toby, you cannot be dependent on loans. Because if you have that mentality, you're dependent on handouts. Now the government gives you 100,000 Rand, but you don't use it for the podcast. You use it to buy yourself a nice car or whatever the case may be. You see, you haven't worked for it. You haven't sweated for it. So money that comes easy goes easy. Okay? So you need to work for it. So in my mindset, I need to create a business that is profitable enough to look after itself. But now the problem with enterprise and supply development is the money once again floats among the top 1%. The money keeps on going to black businesses that actually doesn't need the money, just so we can get points. What about using the money to train black people and how to become entrepreneurs and make people who has nothing successful?
I think this whole thing it's full of how about. Instead of how about, instead of this, how about.
But I'm saying this is not true. This is me.
No, I understand.
Because I have a problem to write checks to people, black people who don't need it. But I have a problem. You drive around, you see people, we should uplift those people. And also, if you really think about this, most of the staff I employ happens to be black, okay? Yeah. It'll be nice if government can help me also, because indirectly, I help black people. But we don't think that way. I'm Afrikaner, remember? I'm a white monopoly capitalist. Maybe it's time for South Africa to get over itself and actually start fixing the problems.
Yeah, maybe we need another 30 years. I'm just saying.
Look, I am encouraged that government is starting to realize that things didn't work. Look, I think things did work to a certain degree. But we need to go to the next level now.
Yeah.
And the same thing with ownership. Yes, black people must have ownership in businesses, but it's the same bloody black people over and over and over becoming owners of businesses. It keeps on being the top 1%. Do you see the beggar in Chongqing sitting on the street being an owner of any business?
No. That is why you'll find one person on 7 boats. Sitting on
How much blessing must Ramaphosa still get on BE? He doesn't need it. Come on, man. He doesn't need it. Oh, I hope I don't get the blue lights visiting me soon.
No, but it is straightforward. It is straightforward.
Right?
You see, it is straightforward. So, same people benefit over and over and over and over again.
That is the problem. And we don't fix the structure. We still have an high unemployment rate. Still, education is an issue. We don't fix these things. But we write checks for my friend who's black. I mean, come on. When he gets a notification that, ping, he's having a braai at his house, entertaining his friends, having some booze. Come on. Really, the guy in Shoshanguvi doesn't even have bread to eat. Huh? Round about September this year, I already spoken to my skills development specialist. I'm going to start offering basic 101 entrepreneurship training workshops free of charge to unemployed people. It will be in Johannesburg, and I'll get a venue, and we already have a market, church people and students at academies, whatever, and I'm going to teach them free of charge basic entrepreneurship. Now, I don't want money, but I'm just saying, why can't the government do that? Why can't they say we're going to set up these schools and use my clients' BE money to fund it? Huh? But no, I'm going to write Chepo a check. Not really you. I'm just using this example. So that people mustn't think that Ted was getting all these checks.
Today this example is like
you're just my example. You're my go-to person. You see, you're not getting the checks. I'm just saying no. But while you're eating the spare rib, now you're getting the pinks. Ooh, beaks coming in for me. You see. Oh, come on, this is corruption. Hey.
Yeah.
So okay, but now I also have a message to our white brothers. You know, we whiteys now we can sit at the braai. Yeah, this black. Oh, before I go on that, I just want to say something here. People may ask, where's employment equity coming in? Affirmative action. It actually links into management control.
Management control, yeah. That's where you'll find that on the top level management, there must be this person, and then also in the structure, a disabled person.
Now, let's go to my favorite topic about BE. When we sit around the braai, now we can very easily say, yeah, affirmative action, yeah, employment equity, yeah, BEE, you see. A lot of people don't understand that BEE is also about white development. Now, you as a black man, you must look at the camera now. They can see that face because you were sitting away from the camera and you're going like this. It's like the smoke is coming out here. So that's why I actually want to put on my car. You know, when you drive on the highway, you see these cars. We specialize in BE. I want to say we specialize in WEE, white economic empowerment. Because the thing is this, and when I almost want to say counsel my clients, I have to. A long time ago, I started to become a pastor. I studied theology. So when it comes to this subject now, and I get called in to the CEO's office, I start pastoring the heart. And I say, listen, nobody's going to take the food out of your mouth.
Now I must give away 30% of my Starlink.
No. So let's talk about the generic scorecard.
Yes.
Now, to explain, there are 3 levels in B, of different kinds of companies. You get your small exempted enterprises. They typically turn less than a turnover of 10 million rand a year. Okay. Then you get between your exempted and the next level, 10 million to 50 million, you get your QSEs, your qualifying small enterprise. Those that turn above 50 million a year, they are your generic scorecards. So what I'm going to tell you now is specifically true about the generic scorecard, your large corporations and so on. Here you can see those that turn more than 50 million rand a year. Yeah. As part of their preferential procurement, with other words, how much they spend per year on suppliers, buying services and goods. So all our clients, we are their supplier.
Yes.
So let's see what's going on there. So there it says, and this is from the scorecard, okay? So BEE procurement spend from all empowering suppliers based on the BEE procurement recognition levels as a percentage of total measurement procurement spend. So what they are saying is, and here you will see 80%. 80% of the money spent on suppliers must go to basically BEE compliant companies. Do you see there that 20% can go to whoever they want to? That's where I say, that's the white man. So you see, the thing is this, Tsepo, as an employee, I had a lot of problems with affirmative action, but as business owner, nothing.
As an employee?
As an employee, I had huge problems where I was limited.
Oh, okay.
But I must say limitation in context also. I was never hungry. I was never out of a job in my life. So let's just put context there. Even though I struggled to get promotion, I was never hungry. I was never out of a job.
Yeah.
But here I'm saying, well, as a business owner, I don't have a problem. Because there are 20% now of those big companies can go to companies like me. There's no regulation on where the 20% goes to.
Yeah.
And for corporations, that's a hell of a lot of money. So for the peanuts a company pays us, the color of my skin doesn't bother them at all. So how do I get business? Now I need to be skilled in how to be an entrepreneur, do my marketing, my sales. So a lot of white, whiteies, crazy. So if you're a whitey now sitting on a braai, I can't do my business because I'm white. No, it's not because you're white. It's probably because you don't know how to do marketing. You actually don't know how to do your business. No, right. But it gets better, Tsepo. The second tier to this, for large corporations. Now, remember, this is now the law, no?
Yes.
BEE procurement spend from all exempted micro enterprises. In other words, for those specifically with a turnover of less than 10 million a year. So we're talking about suppliers now who are exempted. Now remember, if your turnover is less than 10 million a year, you're exempted. Doesn't matter what your skin color is. So like for us, for instance, we are actually below, we are below 10 million a year. So I get an automatic level 4, which is fantastic in terms of the BE levels, okay? So we're an exempted micro enterprise, okay? So how much must this company spend on companies like us? BE procurement spend from all exempted micro enterprises based on the applicable BE procurement recognition levels as a percentage of total measured procurement spend. 15%. 15% of the budget of that 80% of corporations must go to exempted micro enterprises. And that's the space white people operates in when they have a small business. There's no barrier whatsoever. Yeah. That's why I want to say WEE. If people don't know this, they must spend money on you.
So they must stop complaining at the braai.
They must start figuring out how to do social media marketing. How to talk. They must start investing in podcasts and starting putting themselves out there, because that's the real problem. We don't know how to do marketing. We don't know how to do business, but we complain about BEE, you see.
Yeah, the thing is, you are also confusing people because you are flipping now.
Why is I'm flipping?
1 minute you say that this is how it must be. They must stop saying this. Then you move from black people and you say, no, white people must stop complaining also. So, no, it's fine. You are neutral.
You're confusing me now.
No, you are neutral. It's fine. It's okay.
I'm trying to be neutral, probably because I'm educated on these things.
I understand, yes.
So, but now I can also think to myself, after 30 years, I can see, every year when I sign checks, I'm like, but this guy doesn't need money. It doesn't make sense anymore, man.
Something better can be done. Yeah.
And also, you don't want to go to the Shoshonguving guy and just give the guy on the street 50,000 and either, because he's probably going to...
He's going to blow it on the same day, and then tomorrow he's going to be sitting.
But maybe if we can plant some grass and let him water it, then he gets minimum wage every month.
Yeah.
Isn't there a saying, if you give somebody a fish, he will eat for one day, but if you teach him how to fish, he will eat for a lifetime?
Yeah, there's some sort of...
So I'm saying that, first of all, there's hope for white people. Yeah. B does not... It's not going to take the food out of your mouth, okay? So if you are struggling to get business, it's probably of two things. Number one, you probably lack business skills. And secondly, politics. There are some companies out there that, even though this is true, they are adamant they will only make use of black service providers. And that's just plain criminal also. So you get those kind of institutions too, But at least as far as the law is concerned, it does not prohibit and lock white people out of the economy. So I think that is important. And then secondly, what is important for me, I think we should move away from only being fixated and focusing on black skin color. There is still a part for that, especially in managerial control. I think that is something that is still important. Yeah. But besides that, we should start addressing the underlying structural issues which happen to impact most black people the most, and stop making the rich catch richer. I don't know how this is going to go now. I'm going to get all those WhatsApp. You bloody white farrier. What is traitor?
No, but you were neutral. You are neutral because you're not only saying this one must benefit and this one mustn't benefit. You are neutral.
I think as a message to black South Africa, me as a whitey, I want to see the country work. I want to see everybody wealthy. I want to see success to everybody. I want disadvantaged communities to be uplifted. We all have a hope that everybody will just improve and get better. Yeah, but that's me.
Thank you.
Yeah, anyway, now I'm almost getting a tear in my eye, man. I've got some work to do still.
That was very interesting. Thanks.
Anyway, so before you say thank you, we now have Chaile job review.
Oh, job review.
Don't forget job reviews.
You know why? Because we didn't have a shout out.
We didn't have a
today.
shout out today.
So,
Welcome to Job Review. Stay a little bit, a few minutes later. We have one of our people advertising or announcing what jobs we have in our networks. And look, I hope the people enjoyed this podcast. I actually did. I always wanted to get it off my chest.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's very educational because, you know, some people, sometimes they talk about these things, but they don't understand them.
Mm-hmm.
Because we are living in the days of TikTok.
Oh,
Life is 30 seconds, you know that?
yes.
Life
is 30 seconds.
Life
yeah.
is 30 seconds. But someone is going to see this for 30 seconds and they're going to go to YouTube and watch the whole thing and have an understanding. You see? So,
Anyway.
very educational. Thanks for watching.
Okay, thank you.
See you
Bye-bye.
next time. Bye.
Good morning, everyone. Let's have a look at some of the vacancies posted nationwide on our Harmony People's Network this week. First up, at Dezella Holdings. In Pretoria, there's an opening for an executive personal assistant. In Midrand, there's an opportunity for an HR officer. Hollow Matrix in Durban has openings for both a junior HR administrator and a sales representative to join their team. Educastle in Limpopo is looking for an ECD practitioner. For the full information of the mentioned positions, how to apply, as well as more available positions, find the vacancy link in the description. You will also find a link to a useful video on how to compose a winning CV and have a successful interview. Tune in again next week for more Harmony vacancies.